Hey good people, happy Friday and welcome back to the channel. In a few moments, I'm going to share my thoughts and feelings on the Season 6 premiere of Ready to Love Potomac. Now this video will not be my typical recap and review that I did for last season of Ready to Love. Instead, for tonight, I will just share my thoughts on the overall episode and my predictions for the season. And throughout this season of the show, I will periodically upload videos solely related to the significant events of the show. I'm taking this approach because, quite frankly, I'm fatigued from last season of the show, courtesy of the Brown Girl Squad. It appears that a lot of the drama throughout the last season of the show was spearheaded by the BGS, and because this season was filmed so quickly, I'm not sure the show had enough time to learn from their mistakes. Nevertheless, I've talked your heads off quite enough, so let's jump into the video. First, I'll start off by answering the burning question: what is different about this season of the show? Well, the location of this season takes place in Potomac Village, which is located in Maryland. Also, the season starts off with 14 participants, 7 men and 7 women, instead of the usual 20 participants. Sadly, from watching this episode, a lot of other things appear to be the same. For example, during the mixer, as cast members are greeting one another, the show skips over several cast members' introductions. We have 6 fewer cast members from last season, yet it seems like the show is still shortchanging the participants. Next, once Nephew Tommy meets the cast members, he lets them know that 2 of them will be going home by the end of the night. Now this rule has been one of the most controversial rules on the show, mainly because the show promotes itself as hooking up serious singles for the purposes of finding meaningful connections. But that's impossible if the show is getting rid of cast members without giving them proper time to get to know one another. Speaking of sending folks home, by the end of this episode, Fernando and Kina were sent home, and to be perfectly honest, I predicted this before the start of the show. Let's keep it real. Physical attraction goes a long way on shows like this, and when it comes to early eliminations on this kind of show, the hierarchy comes into play, and cast members keep around who they find physically attractive. And sadly, Fernando and Kina were at the bottom of the hierarchy. But Nephew Tommy did share that there will be some curveballs for this season, such as the newly asked cast members going on blind dates with the existing cast members. And if I were a betting man, I would say that the show is going to introduce 6 more cast members throughout the season to make things interesting. Will this approach work? Only time will tell. Now let's move on to the red flags. As much as I would like this cast, I saw plenty of red flags to go around. First, there's Paul. He's a talker. He mentioned that he needed sexual energy from a woman. He has a sense of humor that goes over the heads of most of the women there, and every time he spoke to the women, he puts himself further and further into the friend zone. My opinion is that first impressions are lasting impressions, and Paul has some serious work to do if he wants to get himself out. Then there's Sabrina, who had a list of what she was looking for in a man on her phone, and she admitted that she wanted a man to be very attractive. Sabrina herself is attractive, and because of that, she's going to make it very far on the show, but I don't think she will make a good match for the men on the show based on what I've seen thus far. Next we have Tori, who shared that he has mommy issues during his one-on-one with Precious. While Precious was understanding of it, I don't think that the other women will be. Tori also seems very laid back, and it may give the other women a reason to get rid of him because he isn't as flashy or charismatic as the other men. Now we gotta talk about Tiffany. She's extremely beautiful, very shapely, but she has 2 kids, and in seasons past, women with kids have had issues finding a genuine connection on the show. Furthermore, she isn't very good at communicating with the men on the show. Her beauty will get her far on the show, but I think she'll eventually have to step her game up. Next we have Laverne. On first impressions, Laverne seems to be a cool guy, but as the episode went on, to me he gave off flashes of arrogance. And as the season progresses, I think the women may give him a reality check when it comes time for them to eliminate a guy. Joy reminds me of Sabrina from last season. It seems like with her interactions with the men, she wants them to take the lead, gain her interest, and it seems like she wants the man to do all the work. Which is perfectly fine because some people believe in gender roles, and it's a man's responsibility to show a woman that he wants her. However, this is a competition, and as beautiful as Joy is, She may get left in the wind if the man that she's interested in meets a woman that's equally as interesting as she is and one that doesn't mind meeting him halfway. We then have Precious, who reminds me of Courtney from last season, in that she's very vocal about what she wants, she goes after what she wants, and she's unapologetic about it. Now ideally, it's great for a woman to have these characteristics on Ready to Love, but historically speaking, those type of women either don't make it to the finale or they make it to the finale only to break up after the season's over. And lastly, we gotta talk about Demetrius. In this episode, Demetrius seemed to be the top pick for all the women. That was solely based on looks. But Demetrius also admitted to cheating on his wife in the past. Now I firmly believe in giving folks a second chance, but I think that if the other women found out about Demetrius being unfaithful, they are gonna sit on that knowledge and use it against him if he makes a connection with too many women. So what are my predictions for the season? Well, these predictions were actually my preseason predictions for the finale and the eliminations. As you can already tell, 2 of my predictions already came true. I think the surprise predictions would have to be Paul and Tiffany making it to the finale. While Demetrius is currently a favorite amongst the women, I think the women will exhaust themselves fighting over him, and the ones that don't get him will try to vote him off as a form of revenge. But overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this premiere a 4. The show started off with some changes, but it looks like the show is repeating some of the same mistakes that it made from last season. I know that this is early on in the season, and I will see how things progress over the next few months. But long story short, aside from the previews of cast members kissing and fighting in future episodes, to me, this season looks like more of the same, and I'll be happy to decompress from the series. But this marks the end of my video, and I would like to know what you thought about the Season 6 premiere. Leave your comments below in the comment section, and I'll reply to each and every one of them. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.